Yo, what's going on? It is 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. It means it's time for another live stream. Today is Monday, December 2nd, 2024. It is a first live stream after Thanksgiving. Hopefully everyone who celebrates in the United States, or if you're celebrating American Thanksgiving abroad, wherever you're celebrating it, if you're celebrating it, hopefully you had a good holiday. And welcome back to everybody. It has been ridiculously cold where I've been running lately. And yeah, I'm not tired of winter already, but man, my face hurts. I gotta say, we got a really fun episode today. We're going to be doing a lot of taste testing. I got all these things from scratch. These chews, I don't think I've tried these flavors before, these energy bars, and then I got a bunch of stuff from Goo, stuff that I've tried before, but I don't know that I've tried with you guys before, or these flavors specifically. So I've got some water set aside so we can mix up some drinks, eat some snacks, and then we'll do a live stream today, and we'll talk about your guys' turkey trots. But first, let's say hi to everyone who is listening on the audio only version. Guys, I hope you're bundled up. It is buff face covering weather, at least for a lot of people in the Midwest, where we haven't seen a temperature above freezing in about a good week or so. And the lows have been low, let me tell you. So hopefully if you're listening to this, you are nice and bundled up, covering all exposed skin. And for everyone else watching this later but not live, hopefully you are super cozy and warm, maybe even wearing a sweater and then a puffy vest, just to keep yourself warm as you're listening to this in the background of whatever important things you're actually doing. All right, let's see who we got here in the live stream. Runner Will is here. What's going on, Will? He says, hello. First year, I really feel the AM cold. Feels like a long time since I've made it to a live. Well, it's good to see you again, Will. Daniel Burton says it's beautiful weather in North Colorado. Is it? I don't know. I'm not familiar with North Colorado, but I imagine it's cold. Everyone, I mean, because you guys have been getting snow for a long time already, so I figured you guys would be cold, but glad to hear it's nice. Eliza says, hey, co-fam, hope everyone is well and full. I need some Metamucil after all these carbs. Hope you guys had a good time eating and enjoying good food with family and stuff like that. We had a good Thanksgiving. It was really good. It's weird for me to do Thanksgiving now because I remember being the new one. We always go to my in-laws for Thanksgiving, and I remember being the new one at Thanksgiving. And now, me and my wife, we've been married for a long time, and our nieces and nephews are bringing home friends, they're called. to Thanksgiving, and so that's really fun to see. And the thing that makes me feel even older about that is not only the fact that I've known these nieces and nephews since they were like, some of them since they've been born, but the older ones since they've been like 2 or 3 years old, and now they're full grown adults, and they're adults who have been bringing home their significant others for a couple of years now, so I know their significant others too. So it's a whole cats in the cradle kind of thing. Making me feel real old real fast, but it was good. It was just good to see everybody. I love tradition, and there's just a lot of tradition and repetition of things that happens over at my in-laws for Thanksgiving, so hopefully you guys have gotten that too. Sean Devon says, hey, Kofuzi Run Club. I've been watching the David Roche Rich Roll episode about his Leadville training, and pretty interesting. I didn't know he was on Rich Roll. That's cool. It's interesting. I haven't really been listening to a lot of Rich Roll lately. But it seems like lately a bunch of it has been infiltrating my algorithms in terms of like little clips hitting my Instagram story. So I don't know what that means. Maybe he's just been pushing stuff, or maybe there's some stuff that I need to be paying attention to again. All right. Let's get to the first taste test. I also, by the way, guys, have weighed a bunch of shoes. So I'm going to start getting the shoe sheet ready so we can add a bunch of stuff. I know we like to kind of like weigh them and add them in real time together, but I just had so many that I had to do that I wanted to make sure I got to them before I ran in them, because I like to try to have 0 miles on the shoe before I do it, but we'll get to that too. Let me see. Let me start getting that ready. We won't get it ready yet, but let's start the first thing. All right. So I'm still really hungry from my run. I did not fuel properly. It's too cold to really fuel properly, I would say. And I could squeeze by without it. So let's try some of these bars. I think we have 3 bars today from scratch. I don't think I've tried any of these flavors before. Peanut butter and chocolate, I may have tried before. Pretty sure I have, but we'll try that. Raspberry lemon and then cherry pistachio. I feel like I'm going to like cherry pistachio most, but let's start with the peanut butter and chocolate. This is good. Oh, I like this a lot. It's almost got like a toffee flavor to it. It's very chewy, which sometimes, like with Cliff Bars, they're too chewy, you know, sometimes. So this kind of has like a little bit of a crispness to it. It's really nice. I'm not tasting enough chocolate though, I would say. It's good. All right. Vanessa Martinez says, I love the peanut butter and chocolate scratch bar. It is tasty. I don't eat a lot of peanut things, but if I did, that's definitely would be high on the list. All right. All right, Martha. It looks like Martha Flute Runner has a new username. She says, announcement, it's me, the same Martha. Don't you love my easier name to type? That's great, Martha. Good to see you again. And let's see. Eric says that PB and chocolate one is money. That is really good. I may finish that one before the hour is up today. Benjamin David says, Shalom Itay. Just pick up the Zoomfly 6 today. I've been hearing good things about that one. I don't know that I'll get it myself. But it looks like people are enjoying it, so that's good to see. And Going with Oliver says, speaking of shoes, Dick's has $20 off today on anything over $100, including stuff on sale. Oh, that's good. Does that include like any shoe? Like, does Dick's have race shoes? That's actually something I don't know the answer to. I don't think I've ever seen like carbon-plated racing shoes at my local Dick's, which is not that local. It's the next town over, but it's far. But I wonder if they do, or if you can get it online. All right. Let's try this raspberry lemon. I have a feeling I'm not going to like this. It kind of looks like an Asian snack, like a snack that you would have with like the sesame bars. You ever see, you know those guys? But it doesn't taste like that. But my brain keeps thinking that there's going to be a sesame, almost soy flavor to this. So it's very confusing. But the raspberry part is nice. It's really nice. And the lemon is mild. So it's not overpowering. This is pretty good. If you like fruity bars, I say definitely try this out. I don't know that I would buy this flavor though. All right, Steve wants to know if we can get a PR bell for the hot and humid Clearwater Turkey Trot. 25:46, a 5-second PR over last year. Great job, Steve. I was just thinking about Clearwater the other day. I'm trying to remember why. I think it's because my in-laws were talking about their winter plans again. And they used to spend part of the winter in Treasure Island, which was close to Clearwater, at least close enough for a race for me to go to. I think that's why I was thinking about it, but I was thinking about you guys down there. Okay, Matthias Venta says the Evo SL went pretty quickly. Was there a drop yesterday? I think it was a December 1st drop, right? See, I feel like those drops really aren't drops. I mean, they are. Someone's getting shoes. But I don't know. I don't understand really all the time, like what's going on with those. I don't know if it's petty, kind of like Nova Blast 5 went on sale December 1st, so that they decided they would do an Evo SL, or if it's like a reward to certain retailers or certain regions or tests. The thing that would make the most sense to me is either pettiness, because there's another brand that's launching a shoe that day, or Also, equally plausible to me would be they want to see what potential demand is like. And so, based on a trickle drop, they can see, like, all right, this is going to sell really well. So, let's up the order while we still have 3 months lead time. So, I don't know. I don't know. Mm, let's see. Daniel Estrella says, what were your Black Friday sneaker steals? So far, I've gotten $80 Zoomfly 6 and $70 1080 version 13s. That 1080 version 13 at $70, that's a really good deal. Because what's that shoe normally? 160? 150? That's really nice. I have the 1080 version 14. It's somewhere around here. But I haven't run in it yet. I might get to it next week. I need to get to it soon because I'm going to count it as a 2024 release. So I want to include it potentially in my year-end roundup. So I'll get to it. But the 1080 version 13, I loved that shoe. That was an amazingly good one. So that's a good deal. I did not buy anything on Black Friday, but it's like I didn't buy anything asterisk, right? Because I feel like a lot of dudes, me included, like to get online and say, I didn't buy anything for Black Friday. Meanwhile, my wife does all the Black Friday shopping and the holiday shopping. And so she bought a bunch of stuff on Friday. A lot of it, she goes with her sisters and they go together. It's been a tradition that they all go. They spend some time together. They knock out their holiday shopping and it's a way for them to spend all day together. And like the husbands are not allowed to call and bug them with stuff. So like, it's a good day. But I didn't buy anything. I almost bought a couple of lenses though. That was the closest I came to buying stuff on Black Friday. But I was like, I don't actually need these at any point in the next, I think, 4 months. So I decided not to buy them yet. So I thought I'd wait. Mark Meyer says, I picked up the Elliott Runner for 156. Think I'll use it as a work shoe when I know I'll be walking a lot. So you know what I think? I think that the Elliott Runner had an inline change. And an inline change for you guys, I don't know, I think you guys can figure what that is. But it's not Elliott Runner 2, but my second pair of Elliott Runners that I have, I got them 2 New Yorks ago, so over a year ago now. That one fits so much better than the first Elliott Runner that I got kind of like pre-release. So the newer ones definitely fit a lot better. All right, we're going to go with a cherry pistachio. I feel like I'm going to like this one. Again, the smell is confusing me. The smell and the look of it makes me think it's going to be a sesame snack. There's little like seeds in here. I think there's sunflower seeds. Make it nice. It tastes more like a trail mix bar than it does cherry pistachio. I don't really taste the pistachio. The cherries are nice though. I think I like the fruit from the raspberry and the nut from the peanut butter. I feel like those two together would make the best flavor bar. But out of Will Grinsick says, I remember a time when Saucony had amazing discounts on their endorphin line. My suspicion on that is that Saucony either one has a better handle on how many shoes to make, so that they don't have to discount any. They can make exactly the right number that exactly meets demand and sell everything at full price, or they're way under producing to ensure that they don't have to discount any of their shoes. That's what I think is going on. I think that with some of the changes that happened, I know they got bought a long time ago, but there have been some changes that seem to be happening. They moved their offices. They lost a lot of people. And I don't know. I mentioned to you guys before, I don't want it to become like a self-fulfilling prophecy, but I am concerned about Saucony. And so I think that maybe they aren't as bullish on how many units they can move. So maybe they aren't selling so many. Or maybe they have been making way too many in the past, and so they had to correct that, and that's why they don't have as many huge discounts. I remember one year for TRE, I think it was the year of the Endorphin Pro 2 and the Endorphin Speed 2. They had made so many Now, I mean, maybe this story got exaggerated, but what I had heard was they had made so many, and this was the year that I met Parker Stinson for the first time, but they had made so many endorphin speed 2s that they were literally giving them away at TRE. Like they had a big Saucony party, not the one that competes with the Brooks party, but the night before. Now there's like the big Hoka reception. And so everyone goes kind of smaller if they do stuff. It's usually like after the Hoka reception on Wednesday night. But Saucony had a pretty big party. And that's actually I think that was the first time I ever met Aaron Azar. But if you went to that Saucony party, like anyone that wanted a pair of Endorphin Speed 2s got a pair of Endorphin Speed 2s just for attending. Because they just had a bunch that they could give away. Now, I don't know if that was just a big promo push or if they just literally had that much inventory. They were like, here's how we're going to get rid of it. I don't know. But those things might be related. All right. Let's see. Eliza says, I bought a new laptop because I'm worried about next year and mine was dying anyway, but no running stuff was purchased. Oh, yeah. I've heard of a lot of people buying stuff this year ahead of what may happen in the next year or years. I think I'm okay on my laptop. My laptop is, let's see, about this Mac. Wait, no, I hit the wrong button. This computer is a 14-inch 2021 Apple M1 Pro. So it's a 3-year-old computer. I feel like I get a little bit more out of it. Lately, though, things have been running a little bit sluggishly. I don't know if it's just I need to clean up files and just make some more space and stuff or what. I don't know. Ishan Parek has a really good question. Any suggestions for a half marathon in Chicago area? Looking to do my first half marathon this coming spring. Well, I think Indy has the Indy Mini. Maybe someone from Indianapolis can help me out on that. That's not exactly the Chicago area, but I feel like that's spring-ish. It's not a half marathon, but there is the Shamrock Shuffle, which is an 8K that happens in April. It's usually a pretty chilly race and kind of what I consider the beginning of the racing season in Chicago. There is also the Chicago 13.1, which I want to say is May or June. Is that on the Magnificent Mile? Is that the same as Run Magnificent Mile? I think that's that one. And then the Chicago Marathon has an event that's called the Chicago 13.1 or Chicago Half Marathon. That's over on the west side. I think that one's more like June, though. And then Rock and Roll used to do one, I don't know if they still do, over July. It's usually like Bastille Day, like the middle of July. But that one is always really, really hot. But those are the ones that I can think of in the area. I'd be willing to bet that there is a half marathon in Milwaukee that you could find if you're willing to go up there. I don't know if there's one in Springfield. I think the Illinois Marathon is coming back. I don't know if there's a half marathon component to that. So that's my thoughts on that. Terry Furlong says, about the computers, did I miss something or is this a U.S. story? Well, there's concern about upcoming tariffs that may or may not be implemented. So I think that's what that's in reference to. Shannon also recommends the Indy Mini in May. That's the one where you get to you finish in the speedway, right? And you get to run across the bricks, I think. And SP says, Hoka shoe question of the day. We haven't had one of these in a while. I mean, I feel like we've had running shoe questions. I just haven't hit that button in a while. I felt like pushing it. So SP asks, Hoka Mach 6 or the Mach X1 for a half marathon personal best attempt? Have done training in both shoes and can't decide. Personally, I prefer the Mach 6 over the X1. Some people like the X1 more. There's more bells and whistles to it for sure, but ultimately I feel faster in the Mach 6. The Mach X1 is a little bit more stable. There's some stability features built into it. You're kind of sitting inside the shoe a little bit more, and there's kind of sidewalls that kind of cup your foot that help you from tipping over too much, and for some people that helps them roll forward. So some people have run really well in the Mach X series. I personally would go with the Mach 6. Yeah. I think that's an underrated shoe. But yeah. Sam Walter says, what's going on, Cope? I ran a 17:49 5K PB over the weekend in the Takumi Sen 10. Woo! That is so fast. And Sam says, that shoe is so fast. I think it's a lot you, Sam, but yeah, that Takumi Sen, it's a fun one. It's a very fun one. Bruce Mahalik says, did you see the Bondi 9 and the Clifton 10? If so, what are your thoughts? I do. I'm still working on my TRE video. Last week was Thanksgiving, so which is different for TRE. Normally TRE is the week after Thanksgiving. But because I had Thanksgiving and a lot of family stuff, I wasn't really in a hurry to get it done. It should be done by tomorrow, so you'll have very, very brief thoughts on the Bondi 9 and Clifton 10. They're both getting updates. They're both getting significant redesigns, at least visually, in terms of what the midsoles look like. The Bondi 9 being more of a drastic redesign than the Clifton 10. I feel like if Hoka were Nike, the Bondi would become the Clifton Premium, if we're looking at things that way, because the design language carries over so well. I think the Bondi 9 is going to be a much bigger improvement over the Bondi 8 than the Clifton 10 is going to be over the Clifton 9. And ultimately, I feel like they're both still going to be compression molded EVA. I think that they're both kind of targeting like running store sales, which is a lot of runners, but also a lot of like people that are trying to get fit, get back into running, have previously probably run in one other brand and only one other brand, and they're looking to try something new, and they've heard of Bondi or they've heard of Clifton and they're curious. Like I feel like that's the kind of runner or kind of lifestyle activity that they are targeting with both of those shoes now. And I also think that's kind of an industry-wide trend. So I think that I will feel like those are solid updates, minor updates, and safe updates. And I feel like that's kind of the way that the industry is going with like big franchise names like Bondi, like Cumulus, like Ghost, where pretty much if you are the type that likes your shoes and doesn't want them to ever change, like stick with the big names kind of thing. And I think that's what's going on with the Clifton and the Bondi. I think those are very mature shoes. Unless they're willing to completely change the foam, there really isn't a need for them to iterate all that much. I did really like the Clifton 9. And I was kind of hoping it would become even peppier, but then that would start to kind of compete with both the Rincon and the Mach 6. So it makes sense that they've kind of toned it back down and brought the Clifton back to its roots, which is as kind of like a chill daily trainer that's really good for all day on feet, whether your all day on feet is run, walk, just walking, or running, you know. So those are my thoughts. I didn't get the chance to like run in them or try them on or anything, but that's how they were explained to me. All right. Let's see. Oh, Joe Carter says the Indy Mini 2026 will be the 50th year, and I may do it. So not this year, but the following year. Okay. And Justin Pearson does say that the Illinois Marathon is back and he's registered. Maybe I'll do that one. What is that's usually in April, right? Depending on the date, maybe I'll do that because I feel like I'm feeling good getting ready for Houston. I'm feeling like my training is actually working. Whereas over the summer with all my travel, I just felt like I was always drowning. It had nothing to do with the training. It was just a lot of the travel and all the work and the heat just drained me. So I'm actually feeling strong for Houston. And I'm thinking I'd like to translate that into another block, like just do another block right away. Because this block was like 12, 13 weeks. And so if I could do another relatively quick turnaround, maybe I could do something fun. So maybe I'll do the Illinois Marathon. It's not too hilly, right? Okay. Um, and Frank says, is Runna better than Sage and Sandy? The workouts that they're giving really, well, they are pretty different, but some of the paces they're prescribing and some of the distance for intervals that they're prescribing, there's actually quite a bit of overlap, and a lot of them are hard for me. I think that the big difference between it is not so much like one isn't necessarily all that much like significantly different than the other from a conceptual standpoint, but one is hitting me when I'm traveling less and the temperatures are low, and my body's finally having a chance to respond. Where with Sage and Sandy, like they tried so hard to continually adapt the program to my energy availability, and I was just wiped out all summer long. I just felt like I couldn't run. I don't know what it was. I really felt like I was like, oh, this is what old age is like. Just can't run like I used to. But a lot of it was the travel hit me a lot harder than I anticipated it would, and so I'll be mindful. I learned so much when I was with Sage and Sandy, and I'll be kind of keeping that in mind as I plan for my own travel for 2025, which we're mapping out now, and it's already pretty much full, which is kind of annoying because I don't like to plan that far ahead, and I like being spontaneous, but also I'm like, I want to lock in the stuff that I really want to make sure I can do now, and whatever doesn't else fit in, I won't be able to just say, oh yeah, I guess I'm free that weekend, I'll go, just because it makes my running suffer too much. And not that like I'm a pro runner by any means, but I just didn't like traveling as much as I did this year. It was hard. Miguel is here. He says, yo, long time no jump on the best live running podcast. Co on moving still. Yeah. Yeah, good to see you, Miguel. How's it going? I was thinking about it, and I was just thinking I need to get out to LA sometime again soon. I don't know if I'll get out there for the marathon, but I do really want to do the Pasadena or the Rose Bowl half. But this year, I don't know if it's always this year, but I planned it poorly. I signed up for Houston, the half marathon, not thinking about Rose Bowl half. And this year it's the same weekend. So that's a bummer. So I'll have to figure out another time to get out there. And Miguel wants to know, Co, are you pulling up to CIM? I'm not going to CIM this year. So TRE was my last trip of the year. And since the a window is not open for OTQs, I'm not running it. And because I'm exhausted, I decided that I wasn't going to go to CIM this year. So, yeah, I mean, I turned that down, and I turned down a couple of other really fun trips that you'll see some friends go on soon. And I'm super bummed that I won't be going on there, and I'm gonna have way major FOMO. But I think I'll go on that trip next year, maybe. So we'll see. Let's do some gels. All right. So Goo has the liquid energy. I'm pretty sure I've tried these before. I don't know that I've had these flavors. They had 4 different flavors when I was at TRE, and I said I'm pretty sure I've had orange, and then there was one other one that I was like, I'm pretty sure I've had that one before too. So let me get strawberry banana and lemonade. I feel like I'll like the lemonade one. We'll do that one first. These have 95 calories, 23 grams of carbs, and then they have a little bit of salt. Actually, a good amount, 200 milligrams, 190 milligrams. That's a good amount of salt, actually. I like that a lot. That's something to keep in mind. But they also have amino acids, L-leucine, L-valine, and L-isoleucine. And I don't know if that's why, but there's a warning on here that said food supplement with carbohydrates and amino acids, not recommended for children or pregnant women. Is that something that normally happens? Like if you're pregnant, are you not supposed to have extra? I mean, because you're going to eat, if you're eating a whole balanced diet, you're getting all these amino acids. So I don't know. I don't know why it would be. Anyway, maybe someone knows, but let's try this liquid energy, which it's just like a liquid in a pouch, kind of like it's even thinner than say Science and Sport, and similar to kind of like what is it? UCAN, And when I was talking with the goo person, they were explaining me like, "Are you familiar with our goo energy? It's a very uh, thin, almost like a sport drink consistency." I'm like, "Yes, I'm familiar. It's the anti-goo." He's like, "Oh yeah, I like that." That's tasty. It's very lemony. I like that a lot. It's just I mean, it's the unfortunate thing of it all. If you want it to have this consistency and you want to have a decent amount, the packet's going to be big. But this is nice. I just drank the whole thing. I think I'll be okay doing that because I just came back in from a run. So my body is craving some sugars. Matthias Ventus says, "Wild that you're already booked for 2025. I'm not fully booked, but like January, I've got something. February, I got something. April, I have an idea. May, I have a pretty strong idea. And then June, July are kind of open, and I kind of would like to leave it that way. Because I'd like to spend some time with my wife this summer. Not that I need 2 months for that, but I don't really want to be doing a bunch of traveling or specific training necessarily. But then August, there could be something, September, October, November, and then December. So it's like, oh, there's the year already. Oh yeah, and then I kind of volunteered to do a big project in March as well. So I mean, yeah, that's the month. That's the year, if I'm doing like one big trip a month. But all right, let's do the next one. Nick Newland says, "Are you going back to Tokyo?" Yes, I think so. I mean, we've talked about it. All right, let's do this strawberry banana. Ugh, I do not like that at all. I squeezed the packet and like I didn't get liquid right away. I got like gas or just like whatever air was in there. And that was a weird sensation. And then the flavor of that was not great. I don't like banana flavored things. I had a feeling I wouldn't like that one. So I didn't like that one. Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, back with Tokyo. The thing is, I may go back for World Championships. I think is when I would go. And that's in September. So that would probably be the time for me to go to Tokyo if I go. So it won't be for the marathon. And Otto wants to know, what are your thoughts on the Shanghai Marathon as a World Marathon major candidate? It looked pretty good. I saw some images from the weekend. It was just over the weekend, the marathon. So pretty cool. I think it has to grow a lot more. But it looked like it was already a pretty big race. So I'm not sure how much more it needs to grow. But China makes a lot of sense to me as a World Marathon major location because there's a lot of runners there. There's a lot of population density there. The question would be, how easy is it going to be to travel as Americans to China in the coming years? I'm not sure how that's going to go. So that would be kind of like my main concern is from a surveillance perspective. But other than that, I think it'd be cool. I'd love to go run in China. I'd love to go wander in both urban and rural areas. That'd be quite an adventure. All right, let me scroll down. Johnny Dodson says, "Would love to see at UTMB again." I keep wondering if I'd like to do OCC or CCC sometime. If I go back, I think it would have. I don't think I would go back to just cover it again, just to go watch it. I would want to go back to compete in it, and I'm not super into trail racing right now. I think I'll do trail. I mean, I did Tiger Claw last year. I'd love to go out there again. I don't know if that'll fit in the calendar or not, but I've been kind of de-emphasizing reviewing trail shoes this year, which you guys have seen. But now that it's winter, we'll start seeing them more because I'd rather run on snowy trails and on snowy roads. Um, but yeah, I've been just kind of de-emphasizing that a little bit. So I don't know that I'm a good fit. I think there was a brand that had kind of put the feelers out if I was interested in going last year, and I was not. It didn't fit in my calendar. I had a conflict um last year, so I couldn't go. But I love Chamonix. Chamonix I feel like is perfect trail running for me because the valley is 3,000-ish feet, which to me my body can kind of sense elevation, but it also doesn't really sense elevation. So it's kind of like being at sea level ish. And then when you're running up in the mountains, you're at like 5 to 7,000 feet or so, which definitely feels like elevation to me. But it's a very quick climb to get from 3 to 5 or 6,000, and so it feels very much. It's very rugged terrain. It's difficult for me to run on. The climbs are steep and long. So I feel like I'm getting the full trail running experience without being totally exasperated about being at like 12,000, 11,000 feet, like in the Rockies. So I love running in Chamonix. I love running in the Dolomites. Like that part of the world, the trail running is like well suited for someone that I can handle some hills, but altitude really kicks my butt. So I would love to go back. Oliver wants to know if I'm still doing the Africa trip. Yes, that's the one in February. So I'll be in Morocco for, I think, 8 days, which my wife keeps asking me, like, hey, you're going to Africa? Is this still a thing where you need to get like shots like months in advance before you can go? And I actually don't know. I got to figure that out. And Shannon wants to know if the projects that I'm doing are embargoed. They're not embargoed, but they haven't been announced and nothing's been like signed or finalized. So I always don't want to like, because then if something happens, maybe there's a last minute change in marketing plans and there's no longer an activation happening or stuff like that. A lot of times I'll get like hey, what do you think about this place at this time of year? And then, I think they're just trying to like, as brands are trying to like figure out who can they invite, what's the budget, all that kind of stuff. They kind of put some feelers out. But sometimes it doesn't work out. And also, like, I don't want to ruin a surprise for someone else if someone else wants to make a surprise announcement. So I just kind of keep it a little bit open and vague. Yeah, Terry says, an American wandering around China with a camera, what could possibly go wrong? I know. I feel like it's... sometimes I feel like I'm overreacting when I worry about like kind of like surveillance stuff, and other times I'm like, I feel like I would need to get a burner phone if I went over there, but I don't know. I've never been there personally. I mean, I know like Jerry Sun was photographing for the Shanghai Marathon, and he's been there multiple times in the last year. I feel like. I could be wrong on that, but I thought he went to China a couple times this year. So it seems to be fine for a lot of people. I got lots of friends who have had business that they've had to go to China for multiple times, and it's fine. It's not like they're getting like detained or they're not political prisoners. So it seems okay, but I don't know. Maybe I'm overreacting. Shannon says, remember when you went to Western States with cousin Jamie? I remember that trip fondly. That was a really fun one. We had no idea what we were doing. Jamie knew what he was doing. I did not really know what I was doing. But we had fun. It was a good one. I was just thinking about that this morning. Vanessa says, I was in Russia in 2016. Their surveillance is intense. Even in 2016, it was really intense. It's interesting. Terry says, there's loads of shots needed for Africa. My son went and he looked like a pincushion. Needed more when he got back to ensure he didn't get malaria. Okay. I have to call my doctor about that. Joe Stiles says, I'm currently training with the runner app for the Disney Princess in Orlando and also springtime in Orlando. So I've been trying different kinds of shoes from On Running and Adidas. Okay. Cool. And he wants to know, what's your honest opinion on running shoes? I kind of like the Hyper, but not sure. There are some shoes that I really like and some that I really don't. I don't really like the old kind with the regular clouds. I like the new ones with the Cloud Tech Phase. That'll be the Cloud Eclipse, the Cloud Surfer, and the Cloud Surfer Next. And next year, the Cloud Eclipse is going away technically, but it's going to be called the Cloud Surfer Max. There's some changes to it. I feel like some of them I'll like, some of them I won't. But those are the ones that I like. Their race product is good. I think you need to be a little bit stronger of a runner than I am to be able to fully get everything out of those shoes. Because for me, I feel like they're a little bit harsh for me. So, yeah. But they're some of them are great. Some of them are just, they're not for me. They're definitely designed for someone else, you know. AJ says, I'm going to South Africa in a few weeks, and the yellow fever shot was like $240. Oh boy. I got to figure that out. Office here and says, yo, what's going on? A little late, but my wife has just got back from San Diego with 2023 Rabbit Kofuzi Club Chicago singlet. Woohoo. Oh, awesome. Okay. Nice work. Very cool. Good to see you. All right. Let's eat some fruit snacks. And then as I'm eating this, we'll start adding some weights to the shoe sheet. Sound good? All right. The first one that I want to try today is from Goo. I don't know if I had these before. I had them at TRE. And so I know what they taste like, but they are very good. But I just was like, I can't remember the story about this packaging, why it's so plain. Like, for example, here's Scratch. And it's like, got graphics on it, colors, words. You know, this also has all the appropriate labeling that one would need to sell it. But it's just like a blank package. And I know there was a story behind this. I just don't remember. But let's get to the Goose. Let's start there. So the Goo chews have a unique shape. Every brand that makes chews has a unique shape. So Goos are hexagonal. The Scratch ones are like half circles. And then Cliff Blocks are blocks. But man, I could smell this. The moment I opened the bag, I could smell this. Kind of almost like a passion fruit flavor. Maybe a little bit of a watermelon. But the flavor is fruit punch. And it's good. That's like a gummy. That's like fruit snacks. Good. I could eat those all day. And Martha says, if Africa requires typhoid shots and you've never had any, it's a series of 2 or 3, so you'd better look into it well in advance. That's the kind of stuff my wife is worried about. Okay. Yeah. All right, let's go to another flavor. I think I've had the Scratch orange one, so we'll skip that for now. And let's go to this one that I think I'm not going to like. Lemon and green tea. I don't like green tea. Even as tea all that much, it's okay. I'm not a huge fan of it. If I'm drinking green tea, I'd rather have an Earl Grey. It just always feels a little bit disappointing to me. Maybe I've never had like a really good green tea. But I don't know. But here's this green tea and lemon flavored one. These are more like an oval, I guess. Looks like I had like a Cadbury egg almost cut in half. And they're there's texture to it. It's bumpy. But it's not sugar, kind of the sugar crystals, I guess. Very sweet on the outside. Oh, I taste the green tea. I didn't at first. It took a minute. Ugh. This is not good. Steven says, Cody's going to be hyperactive for the rest of the day. I don't know. I think this is exactly what I need to not fall asleep for the rest of the day just because my workout today was hard. But yeah, Adam says, I do not like green tea and ham. I do not like it, Sam I am. I do not like it in a pot. I do not like it in a chew. I don't know what I'm going to do. I do not like these. That was not really a Dr. Seuss-esque rhyme, but that's the best I could do. Yeah. Alf says, you deserve Earl Grey Co. You know what I was watching today? I've been watching, what is it? The two brothers that are on YouTube, John Green and Hank Green. That's their names, right? And the one episode that I was watching, it just kind of stopped abruptly, and it went to a commercial about the teas that they have an internet company that the proceeds go to good causes. I don't know if it's officially a B Corp, but it acts like a B Corp. It acts almost like more like a nonprofit. But they have like coffees, they have socks, they have teas. They have all sorts of stuff that you could. They have a whole round of pizza themed T-shirts for Pizzamas. And I was like, man, I need to figure out a way to work with these guys, because I basically just want to do a Kafuzi Run Club drop that has a charitable component that the Good Store is what it's called, that the Good Store just manages it all. I'm about to do that. But they were talking about Earl Grey. And how, like, one of the brothers was like, I'd been drinking kind of bad hot tea my whole life, and then I went to England in my late 20s, and then I really realized what good tea is like. And I feel like I'm kind of like in that space where I've had good teas in the US. I don't think I actually had tea when I was in London this last time. So that's something I got to go back and do, And Frank says the Good Store tea is legit. See, I think I might have to order some. All right, let's go to raspberry. I don't think I'm going to like the raspberry either, but I didn't think I was going to like the raspberry bar, and I like the bar. So here we go. Similar shape. Got that little bit of bumpiness on the outside. All of these, they taste like nothing for the first 4 bites. And then the rest of this, this tastes like it's rotten. Something's wrong with this flavor. It's almost like, you know how sometimes wines can be buttery? I'm getting that with this. It's not a butter flavor, but there's like an unctuousness to it on the bottom end that just feels wrong. I don't know. That one is not good. Ugh. Need a palate cleanser, peanut butter chocolate. Ugh. All right, let's go to the next one. Sour cherry, and then we'll get some shoes out. I'm gonna cleanse the palate a little bit. Now, I like dried cherries quite a bit. Hopefully I like these. And there's caffeine in these, too. Sour cherry is the one. It's good. This one is deformed. But it tastes good. It tastes like cherries. I like this one. Well. Frank says, when you are running, do you want the flavor to stick around or you want it to go way fast? I can go either way. Some flavors are very mild and you don't even notice them. Some are no flavor at all, really, kind of like Martin's. And some are very strong and stick around for a long time. I feel like goos stick around, like the non-liquid ones stick around for a long time. Miguel says, Guapo Boys are working on a Modelo-flavored gel. Hopefully Batea Doesn't beat us to it. You mean Bates? I don't know if I'd want a beer flavored one. I'm surprised that there isn't like a pickle flavored one that's just salty. I feel like that would kind of combine a lot of things together. I bet you there probably is a goo one that's like that. One of like the 1,000 flavors that they made before. Yeah. All right. Johnny Dodgen says, "Are we getting the spready out or not?" Yeah, let's get the spreadsheet out. I've got a bunch of shoes we gotta talk about today. Let's see. So I didn't weigh these in front of you guys, but I think it might go faster this way if I do it this way. But I do have like pictures of everything, right? So I have it in both ounces and grams. Let's go over the shoes that we're gonna do today. I don't know what's going on here with this sheet. So we've got New Balance, more V5, 0 miles, right shoe, size 9, road. Then we got Mizuno. I think it's called Secret Shoe 01 is what it's called. And then what else is in here? Okay. All right. Then we've got something from Asics. We've got the Nimbus 27. And then we've got the Brooks Glycerin 22. Now, here's the thing. With the Nimbus, I actually ran in it already in Texas when they gave it to me. So that has 3 miles on it before I was able to weigh it. But that's why we have the miles column. Claude says, "Any tips for chews while running? I worry about choking. LOL." I would when I haven't used chews as a major part of my running in a while. I do when I'm doing like long trail days. And what I usually do is I just kind of like start chewing one. I might kind of like eat it like a candy, like a hard candy for a little while and let it dissolve a little bit if you're worried about choking a lot. But you'd be surprised how easy it is to chew and walk at the same time, or chew and run at the same time. Especially if you have some practice with it, you'll be okay. But don't do like more than one at a time. A lot of times with the Cliff Blocks and all of these, like there's a lot in each packet. And with Cliff Blocks, I think there was 6 in a sleeve. I would do 3 at a time and then put like the rest of the sleeve in my pocket. And then a couple miles later, I'd eat the rest of the 3. So that's kind of how I would do that. All right. Let's see. So let's get to some of these weights. The More version 5 is a big boy. That one came in at... Oh, and you know what? This shoe was an interesting example of why we maybe should have taken separate measurements for right and left. It's more work than I'm willing to do. But I will tell you that for the More version 5, I weighed the left shoe first on accident, forgetting that I need to weigh the right ones. And the left one came in at 11.4 ounces. So 0.2 ounces heavier than the right side shoe. So I don't know what that means. What does it even mean? I don't know. But that was a lot heavier. All right, Mizuno Secret Shoe 01, which I'm excited about because there's no wave plate in here. That one comes in at 8.3 ounces and 236 grams. Now, the only thing that concerns me about this shoe is that, like, it's knit material. I like. It's no wave plate. I like. But Connor was wearing his pair around when I saw him, and we did a shoe spotting episode, and he was wearing his, and it looked kind of baggy, and knit shouldn't be baggy. So I'm a little bit concerned about the fit. That being said, the Neo Vista is a knit upper, and that one fits me great. It also kind of looks a little bit baggy when you're just standing around in it, so I'm hoping it's going to be all right. All right, next, let's get to the Nimbus. Now, remember, this is after 3 miles of running, which I don't know if that makes it heavier or lighter or what. But this one comes in at 10.5 ounces and 298 grams, so just under 300 grams. Still kind of feels like it's a little bit big. And then the last one we'll do is the Glycerin 22, also 10.5 ounces. But this one, for some reason, is 300 grams, which I guess that's within the rounding, right? I don't know. So let's get these marked up, and then we'll do the sort. You guys ready for the sort? All right, let's sort it by grams. Data, sort range by column D. Wait, no, I did it wrong. I got to do it like this. No, I did it the wrong way. Oh my goodness, guys. I'm out of practice. Here we go. Okay. So the More version 5 is the heaviest of the shoes we just added to the sheet today. Lighter than the Under Armour Infinite Elite, but heavier than the Dream Chaser, which I felt like was a kind of a heavy shoe. So the More version 5 is a big shoe. I think there's more shoe to the More version 5 than the Dream Chaser, but it's interesting that it's lighter than the Infinite Elite. I didn't think that the Infinite Elite was that big. Glycerin 22 comes in right at the same weight as the Mag Max. All these shoes are kind of in the same range here. Although my Mag Max is a half size up, so it's heavier than the Mag Max. And it's only 0.2 ounces heavier than the Ghost Max. Okay. All right. And then Nimbus 27 is right in there too. Same weight as the Triumph 22, which I got to say is Triumph 22 is probably one of the more disappointing shoes this year. I don't want to, I hate to rag on Saucony because I feel like they're having a hard time, but I just expected so much more with that going with Piba for the midsole. It just, something about it just doesn't feel great when I'm running it. It's good. It should be better than that based on what it looks like on paper. All right. And then the Secret shoe comes in, about the same weight as the Topo Spectre and lighter than the Magic Speed 4. It looks like it's so much heavier than that, but I guess it's pretty light. Lighter than the Valkyrie Speedworks too. So there we go. Mizuno Secret Shoe 01. Surprise of the day. There we go. All right. Let's see. Luke's here. He's going, he says, good to see you, Luke. Luke, how was your collarbone? Luke ran in a turkey trot over the weekend and got knocked over in the first 50 meters, I would say, and broke his collarbone. Still finished the race, which I feel like maybe taking a DNF would have been okay, Luke. But it's probably also the fastest way to get back to medical attention. But hopefully you're doing all right, man. Yeah. And Luke says he's in a lot of pain. I can't imagine. My brother-in-law broke his collarbone. I've actually known a lot of people that have broken their collarbones. My brother-in-law broke his collarbone off a bike, most of them off bikes. Off a bike. My running buddy broke his collarbone when he got hit by a car on his bike. Man, that sucks, dude. Sorry. And Luke says 50 meters, pretty spot on. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it stinks. Sorry, man. That fall looked pretty bad from when I saw it on the video. All right. Scott says that he weighs both of his shoes, and there's always a 0.1 difference. See, if there was a 0.1 difference, 0.1 doesn't bother me as much as like 0.2 or 0.3. You know, I feel like that's a lot. But I guess it's an 11-ounce shoe that I was weighing, so maybe 0.2 isn't that bad. But it just felt like a lot. I don't know. And Luke says, when he fell, a cop offered to give me a ride, but I thought I already ran 2 miles, might as well walk the last one. Dude, Luke's splits were still in the 520s for the first 2 miles after he fell and broke his collarbone. So, Adam says he broke his collarbone playing flag football. It feels like it's a surprisingly fragile bone, right? Or maybe it isn't, but it feels like doesn't always, you would think it would take a lot to break a collarbone, but for some people, it just feels like it just snaps. I don't know. Walking Captain says, what do you think about Sydney becoming part of the majors? I think it's fantastic. I think that side of the world needs more races to make it easier for people to go to majors. Because I think having 3 in the United States, from a historical legacy perspective, I understand how that came to pass. But I feel like it's pretty America-centric. And then one being in London makes it like, so that's 4 of them. And then the 5th one was Berlin, which is a little bit further away from the rest of them. And then the last one was Tokyo. But it makes sense that Tokyo was number 6 at another one, basically same time zone, just it's on the other side of the world, but again, on another other side of the world. So instead of going from Eastern to Western Hemisphere or vice versa, Western to Eastern Hemisphere, now you're going from Northern to Southern Hemisphere. I think it's great to, if they're world majors, they should be all over the world. The only thing I guess I did move it to September, right? Last weekend in September. So they're trying to make it a little bit cooler. But I would have, I'm concerned that it's very hilly. I'm concerned that it's still going to be pretty hot when it gets run. So that's all. Calvin wants to know, how did your daughter fare at the turkey trot? If you haven't already answered. No, we haven't talked about that too much. So we ran the turkey trot in Wahlert, at Wahlert Catholic School in Dubuque, Iowa, where I feel like that school is pretty good at running, which makes sense because there's a loop around the school, kind of like if you just make the first 4 lefts, which had about, in 2.5 miles, had like 220 feet of gain. So pretty hilly loop. And it was, I mean, I told my daughter that, hey, there's probably a lot of fast kids here, because I don't know if you noticed when we're walking around the gym before the race, they have a lot of running trophies in their trophy case. And she goes, well, they're not cross country titles. She's like, they might be good at track because they've won some state track championships, but I didn't see any recent cross country championships. And I don't know why she got all like competitive about it, but that was a distinction that she made in her mind. But there was a lot of fast runners there. It looked like there were some kids that were alum that are now at Iowa State running that came back for the weekend. And yeah, there was a lot of young, fast people. But my daughter came in 3rd in her age group, 11 to 14, and I came in 2nd. I wanted to win a turkey. If you came in 1st in your age group, you won a frozen turkey or a certificate for a frozen turkey. They didn't have like a truck full of turkeys there, although it was cold enough that day that they could have just had them outside in the back of a truck and it would have been fine. But I missed a turkey by 24 seconds. But man, that course was tricky. I did not know how to run it. The first mile was really downhill. The second mile was kind of uphill. And then the last half mile of it, or like a third of a mile of it, was just painful uphill that I thought I was going to have to walk it the first lap that I did. But then I did the second lap, and then by the time I finished, so there's like about like a little less than a quarter mile after the crest of that final hill, where it's a little bit downhill or a little bit of a roller, and then you finish. And as soon as I crossed the line, I was like, I wasn't that winded. I was like, I ran that wrong. I could have run that much better. So that's the thing about hilly courses, that they're really hard, and I tend to avoid them, but they're tricky in a fun way. So maybe I'll do that one again. But my daughter seemed to like it. The 2.5 mile and the 5 mile go out at the same time. And so we lined up together, and I thought that I would help her get out of the gate. And then once she was like doing okay, I would go. And so we did. And then I started taking off a little bit. But then she started following me. So like I could hear her breathing really heavy behind me, and we're doing like 6:15s, which I told her pace should be something more like 7:45. And so I look back at her, I see her, she's still back there behind me, and she's trying to keep up. And I was like, slow down. You're gonna have a bad day if you keep trying to follow me. And so she slowed down, and I think she had kind of like the similar issues with me where she maybe took it not aggressive enough on the gradual uphill and then just had no idea what to do with the really big hill. But she says she liked it. She says she would like to come back and try to improve on her place next year. And she's like, the age group was 11 to 14. I got a couple more years left where I can try to win this thing. And so she's so competitive. I don't know where she gets it from because I'm not that competitive. My wife's not that competitive, but she is. So yeah, it was a really fun time. I enjoyed it. Sean says, "Oh my goodness, guys in my age group, 50 to 59, we're running 1640 to 1650 at the local turkey trot. It's not usually that competitive, and it's impressive. That is wild. I'd be so mad if if I showed up and I'm like, I feel like I got a good shot. I'm first year running as a 50-year-old, and then dudes ran a 1640. I'd be pissed." And Luke says about the turkey trot that my daughter and I did. He says, watching the reel, it looked crazy in elevation. Is definitely an impressive run. Yeah, I feel like I could have done it better, but that's the fun of it. But yeah, the elevation got me. It definitely surprised me. I mean, we had mapped out the route ahead of time, and we knew that it'd be steep, but it definitely got me. Let's see. Walking Captain says, which race have you enjoyed the most scenery-wise? Yeah, I don't know which one I would enjoy the most scenery-wise. As a participant, I enjoyed Tokyo the most scenery-wise, just because like everywhere you looked, it was very familiar, but also very foreign at the same time because none of the signs, there's very little English in Japan, it seemed. Plus, I also enjoyed the out and backs because you see people all the time, and it's distracting in a nice way. I'd say New York is also really good scenery-wise as a participant. As a spectator, I really enjoyed the scenery of Budapest quite a bit, and New York is also really great from a spectator's perspective too. So I'd say those are pretty high on the list. I'm sure there's one that I'm missing. I mean, all the trail races that I've done are gorgeous, so those have been fun too. Yeah, Calvin says like she was doing 6:15 when you're supposed to be hitting 7:45. Yeah, I think her first half mile was probably like 3:30, 3:15, something like that. So like she went out hot the first half. I didn't actually look at her splits, but yeah, she went out pretty hot in the beginning. It is a gradual downhill for the first like third of a mile, and then it gets real downhill. So I slowed her down before we got to the real giant downhill parts, which is probably good for her. But I think the thing that was hard is that like all cross country season, she's been getting trained on like, hey, you got to get out fast and stay fast. So you stay clear of any congestion and stuff like that. And so like she's been getting that idea hammered into her head all cross country season long. And then now she's in a race with a lot of, I mean, that happened to her at state too, where she went out a little bit fast because all the competition around her is so fast. And I think she just got, like all of us, she got excited. She had a bib on. She was excited and she was feeling good and she went out too hard, So it wasn't it wasn't 16:15 for her first mile. I don't know. I'll go see what her first mile was, but it was probably a bit fast. All right. Martha says, what about Tunnel Marathon though? Light at the end of the Tunnel Marathon is gorgeous as well. That is I don't think I would like that one as much as a spectator, but as a runner, that one was super fun. Going over all those giant bridges, and you're going down for 2,000 feet, and you see just the views around you. That is a pretty gorgeous course. Yeah. And Leona says, you got to do Big Sur. I keep hearing about that. Maybe. It's just so hilly. So hilly. All right. I think that's going to be it for today, guys. We went a little bit long. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out. We'll do another live stream on Thursday. I should have some new packages. We'll add some more things to the shoe weights sheet. And we'll see what else we get into. But in the interim, stay warm and safe out there. Thanks, everybody.